Hey everybody, welcome to Dying Laughing. It's your girl, Jessimae Peluso. This is a special episode. It may be a little chaotic. It may be a little emotional. It's for sure going to be relatable. It's about everyone's favorite friend, your four-legged friend, your fur friend, one of my first dogs, Carlin. And it's about losing your pet because I am losing Carlin. And in a world where there's all types of loss to deal with, obviously there's war, constantly famine, all sorts of societal stresses that people go through. The loss of a pet seems to be something that people really relate to. It's something that makes everybody respond on the interweb. I think it grabs hold of people's hearts because pets are so innocent. I've had Carlin for 15 years. And, you know, they say that dogs are a man's best friend. They're also a woman's best friend. And for many reasons, because they don't talk back, they don't ghost you, and they always love cheese, and they always love you. And so this episode is going to be dedicated to my boy, one of my first sons, who may be a little wild in the studio today because he is going through loss himself. I think he's going through a little bit of pain, and we've been managing that with drugs that him and I are both taking. Just kidding. I'm only having day wine. I got my third eye wine because it's one of those days. Cheers to you. Cheers to anybody who's lost someone or a pet. Sometimes losing a pet is harder than losing a person. That is a experience that I think everyone has, and I'm preparing to say goodbye to him. And so I feel like I'm really lucky in that I can have a couple days with him. I had planned to put him down this past week, but something in my gut said I wasn't ready. And I always listen to my gut. And I plan to do it on Tuesday next week because I wanted to have one last California weekend with my boy, with my dog that I've had for over 15. Well, I've had him for 14 years, but he's over 15 years old, which is a little bit past his life expectancy for his breed. He's a Pitbull boxer. He's a goofy, sweet, loving, worst farts in the world son. He's my son. This is my son. If I could have put him in my womb and given birth to him, I would have. And it's kind of strange. October seems to be the month of me losing men in my life. My father passed on October 29th, 2018. Fozzie Bear, my first dog, passed away October 30th in 2017. And now Carlin's date, which is so weird to go, well, this is the day you're going to die, will be next Tuesday, the 21st. So October be taking people. It is a Halloween month and it's haunting me already. But there's something about new loss. I think every new loss is an opportunity to let go of an old one because grief is really compounding. It brings up other grief. So while I'm going through this process of losing Carlin, the grief I've experienced in my life stacks up, and that happens to us sometimes. And it can feel really overwhelming where you're like, why am I so sad over a dog? First of all, dogs are magical. They're magical creatures. They, like I said before, they're like these little time capsules, and they're so freaking special. They teach you so much about yourself. But I think when it comes to losing a dog, it really is an opportunity to sort of go through other losses that you've experienced in your life. And sometimes it feels really heavy, and it could be that you're letting go of other loss that you have gone through. So there's so much I want to talk about when it comes to him. People have really reached out to me and have been very supportive. I think everyone loves animals for the most part. If you don't, you're a murderer and a serial killer. That's science. I met Carlin when I was with my ex, Giannis Pappas, and I, who was another amazing comedian. We had Fozzie Bear, who was a little 5-pound Mexican fuck of a dog. He was a fuck of a duck. Fozzie Bear was a bruiser. My dad used to call him a bruiser. Everyone has a scar from Fozzie. He bit you. He let you know. There's boundaries in Fozzie Bear's world. And that was my baby boy. That dog died in my arms like a rock star in the desert. And I had Fozzie Bear with Giannis. I brought Fozzie Bear into the relationship, and then Giannis wanted another dog. This is what happens when people who don't have dogs see other people's dogs. Sometimes they want their own. So we got Carlin, and we went to the Sean Casey Foundation, the Sean Casey Dog Shelter in Park Slope, Brooklyn. And they had the tiniest room. It was this room with 3 walls, and on each wall were cages stacked from the floor to the ceiling. And inside each cage was filled with a dog. So there's probably over a dozen dogs, and they were all barking, going nuts. And this is a point I'm going to take to say that I'm not against people living their life and getting a dog however they need to get a dog. Look, if you're bougie and you want to spend $5,000 on a dog that's going to end up costing you thousands of dollars because it's been inbred and it's not up to breed standard, it's a purebred pile of vet appointments. That's what you're going to have. Go ahead, live your life. I will say you can find any breed in a shelter. You can find puppies in a shelter. You can find purebred dogs in a shelter. Shelter dogs do not mean dysfunctional dogs, but you often find the most amazing dogs in shelters. I have had 4 or 5 shelter dogs, and they've all been amazing. Fozzie Bear was the one that wasn't a shelter dog, and he was a goddamn nightmare. That dog was a menace. I needed an exorcism for him towards the end of his life. But Carlin in the Sean Casey shelter was a bully breed shelter. So they had Dobermans, Pitbulls, Rottweilers, all of those breeds that people take and ruin basically the stigma. They create a stigma about these breeds, and they ruin the actual legacy of the breed by training them to be aggressive and mean, which is not the true nature of most of these dogs. Pit bulls are such babies. Babies. We call them pitiful. They're just always, Carlin all day long is like, I'm so sad. He's been sad his whole life. He's sad about everything. He's like, I'm sad I don't have cheese, and I'm sad we have to leave the beach, and I'm sad that I don't get to eat more of your chocolate. These dogs are just so sweet. So don't get it twisted. You can find puppies. You can find every breed in a shelter. You can find great dogs in a shelter. And their personality in the shelter, the point I want to make, how you find them in the shelter is not necessarily what their personality truly is. Their personality is a result of whatever stress is happening in that environment. So just know if you find a dog in the shelter and it seems not up to what you want, it could be a totally different situation. Having said that, when I walked into the shelter, when I met Carlin, I figured the only way I could figure out a temperament in that scenario without walking every single dog was to put my hand to the cage, because every dog in there was aggressive because they were stressed. So I did that to every single cage, probably about at least 15 cages, and they all were aggressive towards me. When I put my hand to Carlin's cage, he turned around and pushed his butt to the grate so I could put my fingers in and scratch his butt. And I said, this is my dog. This is my dog. He's my boy. And he was perfect. He's been perfect. He's been a nightmare in some cases, but that's how dogs are. You know, he was a little bit of a Marley and me situation. He has eaten and has loved to eat everything under the sun. When I say everything under the sun, this dog has eaten loaves of bread. Loaves. The entire loaf with the little plastic thing at the end. You know, I don't even know what that thing's called. There's people who make that thing. There's a whole place that makes those little plastic things at the end that keeps the bread bag shut. He's probably got 45 of those in his kidneys right now. He's eating bags of uncooked rice. 1-2 pound bags of uncooked rice. Let me tell you, it comes out cooked. He has eaten all of my shrooms. He's eaten all of my chocolate. He's gotten into everyone's snacks. If you came over the house and you had snacks, you left the house without snacks because Carlin devoured it. And I know people out there are probably like, that's so irresponsible. Oh my God, he could get sick. Girl, he's almost 16. And let me tell you, we probably could go, if I really wanted to extend the situation, we probably could make it to the end of the year, maybe even to the spring of 2026. But that would be for me, not him. The dog has got staying power. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just the perfect alchemy of him in my life and what we did, what we ate. Who knows? Maybe it was just a universal, magical combination of a bunch of different things. But he has lasted much past his expectancy, eating the things that everyone says should have killed him. Let me tell you, Carlin peels an avocado with the precision of a Michelin star chef. The whole peel comes out clean, and then the pit is across the room. So all you're left with is the skin of the avocado and the pit that's on the other side of the room. And you don't even see green anywhere. He's licked his paws clean. You come home, he's like, someone came in, a thief came in, ate all your avocados, skinned them like a chef. Gordon Ramsay was here. I don't know what happened, Mom. Gordon Ramsay came here. He made avocado sandwiches for all of us, and he left. Avocados are going to kill your dog. Okay, tell that to my 16-year-old Pitbull. He's been living a life. He's had so many road trips. I just brought him back from our last adventure, which I'm so glad I did. We made a road trip back and forth across the country from LA to New York. I knew his time was coming before I left. And I thought he deserves one more last great adventure. He made it back and forth. We've done it all. You know, he was a street dog from New York City, tough bully breed with the sweetest heart. When I first got him, I sent him away to training camp for about a month with this guy who trains canines. And Carlin stayed with him for a month. And he taught him how to sit, stay, down, heel, all of that, which he pretty much retained. But the most fun trick this guy taught him, and I didn't think it would be useful, but I was like, sure, throw it in the mix, was to run on a treadmill. So Carlin learned how to run on a treadmill, and I thought it was the coolest freaking thing. So all the apartments I lived in, if they ever had treadmills, I'd bring him, and he would just run alongside me on the treadmill, no leash, and he loved it. He's like training to be a Navy SEAL. Like, let's do this. He was so fun. He's still fun. When I first got here, I brought him to the beach in, not Mother's Beach, but Rosie's Beach, I think, in Huntington, California. There's a dog beach down there, which I don't always like. I don't recommend dog parks. I don't recommend dog beaches because then you are at the mercy of other people and how they've trained and how they've raised their dog and the temperament of their dog and also the health of their dog. Bring your dog to a remote place. Bring them to a remote park. They don't really need all of that socialization with strangers. Have your core group of friends. Find people you trust. Do not bring your dog to a dog park. It will usually end up in a vet bill that is something that could have been avoided. That's my little 2 cents for when you have your dog. But the first time I brought him to Rosie's Dog Beach in Huntington, he had never been in the ocean, to my knowledge. Because when we got him, they said he was 6 months old. The dog was for sure over a year old. Shelters always say that. They're like, oh, he's a puppy. You're like, he's 70 pounds. What is he, a centaur puppy? What do you mean a puppy? Just tell me the truth. I'm still going to take him. Ageism even exists in the canine world. It's so messed up. But he had never been to the ocean. So when I brought him to the beach, he kind of ran around the shore a little bit and was kind of testing out the water. He was unsure of all the other dogs. You know, he had the line down his back, the hair raised up, running around the shore. And then he got really excited about the water and started playing with the water. And I was like, this is so great. Here's my California dog. We're going to have the best time in California. Then he starts to swim out towards the horizon and he keeps going. And I tried to call him back, but water's loud and his ears are basically in the water. He kept going. People started gathering around me shouting for him because he went so far out into the ocean. I think he just didn't know what to do, or he just loved the freedom. But I thought, well, here's my first dog at the beach and his first day at the beach, and he's going to be gone. He's going to drown. So we were yelling and yelling and yelling. And then finally, when he found it to be a good time, he decided to turn around and swim back towards the shore with us. But I thought I lost him. First day in the ocean. Nope. That was just the beginning of all the fun with him. And I'm going to read what the internet said I should do before I let him go. But before I do that, I want to read some stories that friends have shared about him because he's a goofy dog. He's a dog that made other people want to get dogs. He was that and is that sweet and special and unique. And he's also a little bit of a rascal and has been a little bit of a pain in the ass. That's the way it is. They are like children. I remember one of my own memories of him was when Elliot, my nephew, had his birthday party. And my sister got Elliot this blue cake that nobody liked. It was trash. And I feel bad because some nice Polish lady had baked it in the neighborhood. And Emily was trying to help out a local lady. And the cake was not good. The adults didn't eat it. We all took a bite. We went, even the kids didn't eat it. You know the cake is bad if the kids aren't eating it. So we put the cake in the middle of the island and at my sister's house on the big granite island, which is probably, 3-4 feet wide, probably 2.5, 3 feet off the floor. We put the cake in the middle, we wrap it up, and we all go upstairs to watch a movie. Now, Carlin's downstairs and we're all upstairs. And after a while, my sister goes, it's kind of quiet down there. Are the dogs down there? Where's Carlin? And we all just look at each other and we're like, oh no. Oh, rut-row. We go downstairs. Carlin Joseph Peluso, which by the way is also Chaplin's middle name. Chaplain Joseph Peluso. Carlin Joseph Peluso had crawled on top of my sister's granite countertops like some sort of kitchen ninja and ate the entire birthday cake. Now, let me tell you, this was like some sort of cake they put out after the Oscars. It was huge because parents always like to make big ass cakes because they want to compensate for feeling like they're not parenting good enough. So they buy big cakes. The cake was massive. No one had eaten it. We go downstairs. Someone ate it. Someone ate the entire cake. The whole blue cake was gone. The entire blue birthday cake had gotten eaten by Carlin Joseph Peluso. Even the plastic wrap, even the little circular cardboard it sat upon, because he said to himself, well, I taste chocolate on the cardboard and I taste chocolate on the plastic. And for good measure, I'm going to eat it all. Ate the whole cake. The cake was so big, he was bloated. And needless to say, it was the wintertime, snowy outside. The snow was blue for the next week. All different shades of blue. And then it started to turn green. It was like some sort of gut foliage out there from Carlin because he had it projectiling and projecting from both ends for a whole week. And that was just one situation. This dog loved to climb on countertops. He loved to eat food. He just liked to, I don't know if he was like a Boy Scout in another life, but he had dexterity in his paws. He could unzip backpacks, like closed backpacks. So I asked a couple of my close friends and people in my life to tell me a couple memories of Carlin because he was such a rascal. So this is Leo Flowers, his girlfriend, Michelle Weinstein, who had a couple incidences with Carlin, and Leo had a couple as well. And I asked her and she said, I was just talking to Leo about this yesterday when he would jump on your counter in the apartment. And then when we went to San Jose in the Airbnb, he jumped on the countertop there. He ate my whole bag of protein powder for all my shakes and did that 2 times. And then my backpack was in your house one time in Leo's room. He got into my backpack and ate all the plastic too. My response is I said, I'm crying laughing. She said, then we all met up in Orange County for lunch. Her and I, she has a dog, Mila, who's a little French bulldog. And Carlin snapped at her, which he normally doesn't do. And I think he just got jealous by how cute Mila was. But that was like one of the only times he was ever like that. It was really strange. Maybe he remembered that Michelle had so many great snacks and he probably assumed that Mila got into them. She then said, I remember one day when we were living in the apartment with Leo, we came back and Carlin had gotten into your garbage. He undid the entire garbage, even the one that was locked up. It had snaps. I had to snap my garbage can shut because of this guy. This dude figured out how to open it up. She said he reminds me of that Sesame Street character that lives in the garbage can. He was like that. He just was absolutely insatiable for trash. And another one, actually my ex says, I remember when you put all those candies and edibles into my bag and he got into my bag and he ate all of them. He was so high. Luckily, he was so muscular and could metabolize all of it. He literally was Snoop Dogg for a moment. He snooped and found the goods. He said, I wish we would have put a GoPro on him. That would have been so funny. I remember that night. Derek and I had gone out and we left his bag zipped up. I think in a room. I don't know if we shut the door or not, but we left the bag zipped up with all of our edibles and chocolates in it. And we went out and we come back and Carlin's laying on the apartment floor and his ears were in different positions. He was so high, his ear took an elevator up to the top of his head. And he kind of looked like Sloth and his eyes were dilated and he was speaking fluent Italian. He was like, vorrei mangiare adesso. Vorrei mangiare qualcosa adesso. He just was speaking Italian in my kitchen. And he was high for about 24 hours. I took him on a walk and all the leaves, I think, were speaking to him. And I think that's what contributes to him having lived so long. All of his drug-induced nights, because that was not the first or the last time that he got into edibles and chocolates. And I don't know if he is just an enigma in the animal world, which he very well may be, but all the things that should have killed him, I think just made him live longer. I truly, truly do. There was this one time I went camping and again, my friend had brought a bag of snacks. We're talking all types of snacks, chips, Reese's Pieces, Cheez-Its, cheesy things, crunchy things. Put it in a backpack, zipped it up. You would think that I would know at this point that Carlin is an insatiable Boy Scout. Nope, that's on me. I didn't think about it. And Carlin got into all of my friends' snacks and ate every single drip drop. Not even a remnant. He ate it so clean that I wasn't even sure my friend had snacks in the bag. I said, are you sure you're not just blaming my dog for your bad packing? Because it doesn't look like he had snacks. And then my dog crapped out packages for a week. Just red Cheez-It bags were mixed in his poop for a week. He just was and is a pit bull with the greatest energy, the biggest heart, a bottomless pit of a stomach, pure joy and zero spatial awareness. This is my dog. This is my boy. And I asked the interweb, like I said earlier, what to do with your dog during the days leading up to the euthanization appointment. And so they say spend quality time, make decisions about their remains and belongings, arrange logistics like payments, who will be present. All of that's boring. I want the good stuff. So these are a few things that the internet says you should do with your dog if you have the ability to make an appointment to euthanize them and hopefully not have to rush into the hospital. Spend quality time with them. That is the main reason why I pushed the appointment. I had him upstate. We were there for 2 months and with family and around people and constantly doing something. I was running around. I spent a lot of time with him. He had a lot of time with my niece and nephew, and they were so sweet with him. My niece and nephew were just so empathetic and very intuitive, especially my niece. She just understood how he felt and was so loving and attentive to him. I had to go away a couple times and do shows. And I brought him with me a couple times, but there was a couple times I couldn't. And she took care of him in such a loving way that made me feel like she could be a veterinarian, which I'm going to push because then I can have all the pets I want and my niece will give me free care. So that's my manifestation. If anyone out there can also help put that into the universe, I'd appreciate that. Just an order of that. So I wanted to spend quality time with him this weekend, and just him and I. Sunsets, sunrises, some beach time. I'm going to take him through fast food places, and we'll get into that. We'll get into what people have recommended. But the interweb says spend quality time with them, lots of love and intention. Take them to their favorite park, as long as there aren't other dogs there. Play with their favorite toys and just cuddle together. Create a special last day. Allow your dog to have their favorite foods or treats if their condition allows, and spend quiet, peaceful time with them. That's why I wanted this weekend. And every day I've tried to make special. I made him a whole batch of meatballs that I accidentally burnt a little, but let me tell you, a burnt meatball to a dog is just a delicious meatball. He's been having those every single day. I never made him meatballs before. And it makes me think about these things that we're doing at the end leading up to losing our dog are things we should try to do more often when we have them. It also says to keep the routine. Try to keep their daily routine as normal as possible to prevent anxiety, which I really recommend. Your dogs are so intuitive. Carlin's very smart. They have an internal system that we don't understand. They can detect things that we don't have the sensors or the system to detect. So they're very smart, and they're also tuned into emotion. So try to keep that in mind. And the routine I do recommend. You don't want to be too sad around them. You don't want to be too sad. They're very, very sensitive and emotional. It also says say goodbye. Arrange for friends and family, especially children who are old enough to say their goodbyes beforehand. And that's one of the reasons why I also wanted to have a little extra time with him, because he is such a special dog. People have wanted to have some time with him. So that's what the internet says. A couple of my friends have made recommendations too. I asked the World Wide Web, but I also asked some of my people what they recommend to do. My one friend says drive-through, vanilla ice cream and a shake. A cheeseburger is a must. You can go to PetSmart for a last scruffy toy. Usually they like the lambs. I thought that was so cute. They do like the lambs. Hiking and a walk. Well, that's kind of out for Carlin, but that's a good idea if your dog can still do it. She said chocolate cake to give to him on the last day. And you can also get an ink craft kit at the store to do a paw print on your own on a piece of paper or his little nose, which I thought was really sweet because that is a service that usually the vet provides, but you could also do it yourself. And I was like, that's so freaking sweet. And also, I decided from that message, I'm going to bake him a cake. He can have a chocolate cake now because, hello, he's headed to the Rainbow Bridge. My other dear friend, Dave Bautista, who everybody knows and loves, he said, I'm so sorry. This is the absolute worst feeling I have ever felt. I wish I could say something that would make it easier. And this is one thing that changed my energy around Carlin, this one message. That's why it's so important to reach out and lean on friends and ask advice, because I would not have thought of this. But he said, I read, no matter what, you should try to put on a happy face for your pup, because they are so empathetic to your feelings that they will sense how upset you are, that it will just make their last days with us stressful. And he says, we don't deserve dogs. I'm so sorry, Jess. So freaking sweet. People reaching out and sending me advice and all sorts of ideas on how to be with him for these last few days. And then you obviously want to do the logistical stuff, the decisions on how you're going to have him, his remains. I chose to do aqua cremation, because I read that is more eco-friendly and a little bit better. You have to plan for their stuff. I'm going to donate his things most likely, because I am a person that if I see the stuff around, I'll be a mess. And I already have these 2 little dogs that are going to be running around, and I'm going to be crying into their fur. So I will be donating his stuff, maybe keeping some of it. Communicate with your vet, prepay if possible, which is actually a really good idea, because of stress the day of. It might make it a little difficult to pay for your dog passing away. This is horrible. It should be free. I got to pay for my dog to die? Have you seen his face? He's so cute. He should die for free. And I think that I've had a really, really good life with him. I've had a long life with him. I've had the ability to bring him all over the country. He's been to probably more states than most human beings. He's probably been to more national parks than most human beings. And it's time to let him go. When my dad was going, my brother-in-law told me that you should probably tell him he can go. Because people hang on. People hang on. Willpower is a very strong thing. And you have to give people and your pets the right to go. And sometimes they can't do that on their own. Sometimes they can't. They'll hang on. And I think that's what Carlin's been doing. I told my dad he could go. And I whispered that. I told him we were okay and we were loved. And I think that's just as important to do for your dogs, because I think dogs are really intuitive. Carlin speaks like 7 languages. And so I've been saying that to him every day for the past couple months. I've been telling him he can go. It's okay. I'm okay. I've got 2 other rat bastards to take care of. And that it's his time. And he's still holding on. I can still feel him holding on. And the moment I felt like he was ready to go was when I was driving back home. And usually when I get out of the car, he's all excited because I usually will come back with something he can have. It's more often than not tortilla chips, just because I love the sound of the crunch in his little mouth. And I love how he it's hard for him to eat the chip because he doesn't have fingers. So he's just trying to crunch, and it's just so cute. And so I knew this last time when I was driving back that it was time for him, because when I came in the car, he didn't really have any excitement for the food. And not that he hasn't been eating. This motherfucker hasn't missed a meal. But he wasn't as excited about it, and I could feel it in my gut. I was like, this is time. And he waited to make this journey back with me, and now it's time to go. And it's just an absurd, tender reality to have to say goodbye to a creature that doesn't understand time but understands love. It's really bizarre to try to say goodbye, because I don't think dogs quantify time and space with their owners like that. I think that that they just exist in the moment so much that they don't even think about the moment being gone. I told him he could go when he was ready, but if he could wait until after I bake him a cake, that would be awesome, because I just want to give him a cake. And before I leave you, I want to tell you the lessons I've learned. The lessons I've learned from this dog. I feel so silly crying about this when there's war in Gaza. Just like people who don't have food and a roof over their shoulder or their head or any of that. And I know that's horrible, but this is my guy. And these are some lessons that he taught me. And I recommend anybody getting a dog like Carlin, like a Pitbull, a pound puppy. They're just so special. They're so unique and have such a deep capacity for love. I can get through this. It's going to be fine. Deb is having a conniption fit. We're both just crying in the studio. Lessons from my pit bull as tears stream down my face. What my dog has taught me: to trust your gut. He always knew, most often than not, who the good people were and who the bad people weren't. and who the bad people were. And there was one time that radar was not on, probably when I needed it the most. So I can't say he always knew who the good people were, because one time I almost got abducted in a parking lot in a hotel because I think Carlin thought, since this guy came from the trash can, that he might have some meats and cheeses on him. I almost got abducted in St. Louis because of this dog, but every other time he was there by my side, barking at whoever was across the street to let them know not to mess with me if we walked at night. And I think dogs are a good barometer for people. I think that they know and can sense goodness in someone's heart. The other thing he taught me is that love is a commitment. This is the longest relationship I've ever had. I realize that that's probably a big statement, but this is the longest relationship I've ever had. And that's why it feels so heavy and like a big transformation to let him go, because I've had him for so long. I've had him for almost 15 years. And that's a commitment. There were many times when I think a lot of people would have walked away because he was challenging and he did need a little extra care. He ate everything. And there were times where it was so expensive because I travel so much, but I was committed to him. And he taught me a lot about commitment. He taught me about how to put something or someone ahead of myself and to really love something deeply, unconditionally. He also taught me to have more fun in life. He is so funny. He was and still is the goofiest, funnest dog. He could make a walk feel like Mardi Gras. He loved and was so playful with everybody. When anybody would come into the house, it made me feel like I was the boring one, because he would come to life and he'd go get a toy, and he's lost that sort of zest. And I'll remember it forever because that's who he is and who he was. Another thing he taught me is that exercise is non-negotiable. Walks solve problems probably faster than therapy. And a walk with your dog is a great time to do nothing. I know a lot of us put on our headphones. Maybe some of you are walking your dog listening to this podcast right now, which I really thank you for. And please rate and review us and share it with your friends and tell everybody. But I do think that your dog deserves your undivided attention as much as possible. Walk with them. Just be with them. Don't put your earbuds in. Sometimes put your earbuds in, but maybe at least once a week, do a walk with just you and your dog and no technology. It's amazing how much clarity it brings you and how many problems you're going to solve and how connected you can become to nature. It's truly healing. The other thing that he's taught me is that the ocean is a therapist. And Carlin preferred to be completely submersed in the ocean. I would throw balls and sticks and he would go for hours and hours and hours. He was so fun that seals would swim around him. They would come to the beach when we would go, this one spot on the coast off the PCH. And the water was healing. We used to go every single morning in his prime. And I would drive 45 minutes up the coast. We'd spend about an hour at the ocean. I'd drive back. And those were the most fun days with him. And the water truly is another therapy, another therapist, a form of therapy. The other thing he taught me is to always check twice. Make sure that your food is off your counters. Make sure you don't have a bag of rice up there. Make sure you don't have a loaf of bread hanging around that Carlin Joseph Peluso is going to house. This dog doesn't understand LA. You're not supposed to eat carbs in Los Angeles. He didn't care. He raised his paw and his little middle digit and said, F you, bro. I'm eating these carbs. Always check a second time. Always, especially before you sit on the couch. Check everywhere and make sure you do not drop anything with caffeine in it. It's not the chocolate that kills him, it's the caffeine. And I'm not telling you to give your dog chocolate. I'm just telling you from experience, this dog has eaten more chocolate than a kid on Halloween. And also, Halloween's coming up. So protect your neck and keep your chocolate away from your dogs because it still can make them sick. Another thing he's taught me, which is kind of in the line of all of this, is that nature has all the answers. The times I've been the saddest or have been the most confused or stressed or worried, I would walk with him and all the other dogs in the forest. We always would seek out some hike or some place that was away from the city as much as possible. And the forest and nature speaks to you. It really has a way of clearing out the cobwebs and providing you with all the answers you need in that moment. I think that's the beautiful part of having a dog, because they're a direct connection to nature. They allow you to tap into your own nature. There is human nature, obviously, but I think there's a deeper connection we have to Mother Earth and to trees and to the ground. And dogs give you a one-way ticket to that. And so that was a big lesson. Also, he taught me to not take life too seriously. He taught me to be playful. He taught me to be fun and goofy and laugh and be yourself, as silly as that sounds. He taught me to be more fun and to not take life too seriously. He also taught me, probably one of the biggest lessons he taught me is to be in the moment. He never overthought anything, unlike his mom, who overthinks everything. He was always just right there in the moment, still is, so much so that he just wants to be by my side until the last moments. Deb, my assistant's here, and she can see it. He just wants to be near me because I think he knows. And pets they're our purest mirrors. They show you areas where you have a lot of resistance. Maybe some of you don't even have a pet, and that somehow shows you that maybe you could work a little on loving something other than yourself. You might not be a pet person, but I'm telling you, they love you without ego, without judgment, without language, yet you understand each other on a level that you have never been understood by any other human being. Pets allow you to understand yourself on a deeper level and how to open up your heart in a way that you've never opened it up before. And I think what I said before about every new loss being an opportunity to let go of an old one is an exercise for all of us. Obviously, when I'm crying, I'm sad about Carlin, who's looking at me right now. I'm sorry, I'm sad. But I'm also releasing parts of my mom and her connection with him, and parts of my dad and his connection with him, and parts of the places I've traveled to with him, and the person I was, and all of the versions of myself that I was with him. Dogs allow you to go through life and reinvent yourself, and they don't judge you for your new haircut or your new outfit. They might look at you a little sideways when you keep dating assholes, but they still love you and hope that you'll learn to love yourself. And this dog has seen me through stages of growth and has stuck by my side and has loved me through all my flaws. And when he goes, he's going to take a piece of me, but he'll also leave behind all of the best parts, the loyalty, the joy, the reminder to never say no to cheese. I'm sorry if you're crying. I'm sure you are. Even the dudes out there, it's okay to cry. It has been a joy to be his mom. A challenge, but a pure joy, just like him. So I wasn't planning on losing it. I barely even drank my wine, so I can't even blame it on being day drunk like Nancy. But that's just the testament to how special of a dog he is and how deep of a connection I have with him. So if you've ever lost a pet, or if your dog is still snoring next to you, you have to give them a big extra squeeze tonight, because they're not just pets. There are teachers, there are therapists, and there are weird little soulmates that have so much to teach us about ourselves and about love and about life and how to be more in the moment. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe and share. Send it to your friends. Give us a call. Email us. Give us an email. Please let us know how your pet is or how you've let go of your pet. Tell us a story about your pet, maybe one that you lost, or a dog or a cat that was special. Maybe not a cat, because cats are for crazy people. Tell me a story about your dog. Email me at jessimaepelusocomedy@gmail.com. Give us a call, 513-916-0930. Leave us a message. We could play it on the podcast. And thank you guys so much for listening. Go pick up your pet at a shelter. You can find all types of dogs there. And if you're lucky, you might find a dog as amazing, loving, magical, and hungry as my dog, Carlin. Thank you guys.